I found 78 photos of myself, taken while I was asleep. The man I loved wasn't studying photography, he was studying me. And when I tried to run, I discovered the scariest truth of all: I wasn't the first. I thought I knew what fear felt like. The jolt when a car swerves too close. The cold sweat before a biopsy. The breath that won't come when someone you love is late, and the phone keeps ringing. But nothing prepared me for the moment I saw myself sleeping on his laptop screen. Not once. Not twice. 78 photos. All taken in darkness. All time-stamped between 2 o'clock and 4 a.m. All of me, lying in bed, eyes closed, mouth slightly open, hands sometimes curled, sometimes clenched. Different nights. Different pajamas. Different angles. And in every photo, I was alone. Except I wasn't. Someone had to be holding the camera. My name is Cora. I'm 34. Graphic designer. I met Andrew 6 years ago at a photography exhibition. He told me I looked like the kind of person who dreams in color. I laughed. I married him 2 years later. He's always been quiet, focused, a little obsessive with detail. But he made me feel seen, special, chosen. Now I realize I wasn't chosen. I was studied. It started as a normal Thursday. He'd gone to bed early. Said his head hurt. I stayed up late working a deadline for a tech client that needed reskinning before the weekend. I needed a font reference. I remembered Andrew had downloaded some premium serif sets last month. He kept them in his laptop, the one he never let me use. Too cluttered, he'd joke. It's a mess in there. But he forgot to log out that night. And it wasn't cluttered. It was curated. The folder was on the desktop. No password. No encryption. Just a single, perfectly named directory. Control. Inside, subfolders with dates. Each one contained images. No labels. No captions. Just me. In bed. On the couch. Once in the shower through the frosted glass. Always unaware. Always vulnerable. My first thought was, this must be a joke. A test. A project. Then I saw the metadata. Location. Our house. Camera. Canon R5. His. Tripod. Detected. Tripod. That meant the shots were framed in advance. Set. Timed. Repeated. My stomach flipped. I checked the trash bin. It had been emptied at 3:02 a.m. Same night. There were no other users. No syncing. No backups. Just this folder. And silence. Until his voice came from behind me. You weren't supposed to see that. I turned. He stood in the doorway. Barefoot. Calm. Like he'd just woken from a nap. He didn't look angry. He looked disappointed. Like I'd opened a gift too early. Why? I asked, my voice a whisper. He tilted his head. Because if you saw them, you'd start asking questions. And you're not ready yet. You ever feel your body go cold from the inside out? That was me. In my own house. Looking at my own face. And realizing someone else owned it. The file names weren't random. They were labeled with my heart rate. He'd written it in the metadata. 62 BPM. 67 BPM. 71 BPM. I closed the laptop. He smiled. Come back to bed, Cora, he said. We can talk more in the morning. I didn't sleep that night. Not just because of the photos. Not because of what he said, you're not ready yet. But because I didn't trust what might happen if I closed my eyes. Have you ever lain awake beside someone you suddenly couldn't recognize? Wondering if they're really sleeping or just waiting for you to drift off? That was me. Staring at the ceiling. Counting seconds. Listening to the creaks of our 1920s hardwood as if they were Morse code. Trying to breathe without sound. He turned toward me around 3 a.m. Murmured, I love you. And went still. But the next morning, when I opened the bedroom door, I noticed something subtle. The doorstop had been moved 2 inches inward. He'd placed it there. So I wouldn't hear if he left the room. And that's when I knew. This wasn't obsession. It was engineering. The next day, I started looking for patterns. I didn't confront him. I didn't ask questions. I smiled. I cooked. I kissed him on the cheek and said I had client calls. But when he left for work, I opened his laptop again. The folder was gone. I searched the entire system, every drive, every hidden file, even recent cache pulls. Nothing. Except one file in the audio folder, buried under a bland name. Output_7.wave. I played it. It was my voice. Not recorded on a call. Not from a meeting. It was me in the shower, humming some random melody I didn't even remember, then muttering, I'm so tired, and sighing. My breath. My fatigue. My private moments. Captured. Stored. Analyzed. I opened the info panel. A single line in the description field made my blood run cold. Sleep cycle, 2:24 to 3:10. REM confirmed. Begin induction. Induction? Induction of what? I ripped open drawers. Checked his camera case. Under the bed? In the vents? Nothing. But then I checked the hallway thermostat. It blinked. I didn't remember installing that model. It wasn't Nest. It was Sirac 7, an obscure system I'd never heard of. I Googled it. Only one result popped up. Not a store. Not a product listing. A clinical research paper. Environmental modulation of dream state compliance using low-frequency vibration and olfactory synchronization. I stared at the screen. Olfactory synchronization. Sense. He'd started using a diffuser recently. Said it helped him sleep better. Lavender. Myrrh. Something citrusy and bitter. My throat went dry. He hadn't been recording my sleep. He'd been shaping it. That night, I pretended to fall asleep early. I left the fake journal open on the nightstand, scribbles that looked like emotional rawness. He always peeked when I wrote. I wanted him to think I was folding again. At 2:15 a.m., I felt the mattress shift. Not the way it does when someone turns over. It was slower. Measured. The kind of movement people make when they're careful not to wake you. I kept my breathing steady. And then, a soft buzzing. Not a phone. Lower. Rhythmic. It came from beneath the bed. I didn't move. But I saw his silhouette lean over me. Too close. Too long. Then he whispered. Almost ready. When I woke, the laptop was gone. So was the file. But I noticed something in the kitchen. My coffee mug had been shifted 3 inches from where I left it. The clock on the oven was blinking. It never blinked. My phone had 2% more battery than when I plugged it in overnight. And the trash? Gone. Emptied. Before I even got up. All of it, quiet signs of intervention. That afternoon, I went for a walk. Left my phone at home. Took the long route through downtown. Past the corner shop. The laundromat. The bookstore. I just wanted to be away from devices. From Signal. But when I passed the window of a tech boutique, one of those startup-style stores that sell smart rings and encrypted routers, something caught my eye. A woman stood inside. Mid-40s. Pale. She stared at me through the glass. Not glanced. Stared. When I stopped confused, she mouthed something. Get out. And then she disappeared into the store. I went inside. But she was gone. Only the cashier was there, a guy in a branded hoodie playing on his phone. I asked if someone had just left. He frowned. No one's come through in an hour. I turned to leave. Confused. Heart racing. But then I noticed something on the store's promotional chalkboard near the door. There were 2 words under the Wi-Fi password smudged in fading white. Induction failed. When I got home, the diffuser was already on. And the scent wasn't lavender anymore. It was something sharp. Metallic. Like a hospital hallway. I picked up my phone and every contact was gone. Except one. No number. No message. Just a clock emoji. Set to 2:47 a.m. You ever feel like your own house is watching you? Not just with cameras, I already knew those were there. But like the walls remember what you said yesterday. Like the floor waits for your hesitation before creaking. Like the air shifts when you start thinking about running. That's how it felt that morning. I tried the front door. It opened an inch. Then stopped. Like something caught in the frame. I checked the deadbolt. It wasn't locked. But the door wouldn't move. I stepped outside to the garage. My keys didn't work. The car wasn't even there. I texted Andrew. Did you take my car? He replied instantly. No. You left it at your mom's, remember? But my mom lived 3 states away. And I hadn't seen her in almost a year. That's when I checked my phone's GPS. It said I was at home. Nothing strange until I walked 2 blocks down. The location still said home. Half a mile. Same result. Even after I turned off Wi-Fi, data, and switched to airplane mode and back. Wherever I went, the map insisted. You are home. I ran to the neighbor's house, Lauren, a nurse. We used to swap baking recipes during the pandemic. I rang the bell. Nothing. I rang again. But instead of Lauren, Andrew opened the door. Looking for something? He asked. I stumbled back. Looked up at the house number. It wasn't Lauren's address. It was our house. Again. But mirrored. The same tree. The same porch chair. Even the crack in the left window. I ran back down the street. Every house was identical. The same blue shutters. The same dog barking faintly behind the same fence. Like someone had duplicated our street 5 times in both directions. Back inside, the power flickered. I ran to the breaker. There was no breaker box. Only smooth drywall. And not hollow. But nothing behind it. That's when I lost it. I started tearing through drawers, pulling up the rug, opening every cabinet. Every cereal box was full. Every can was labeled the same. Organic tomato base. No expiration dates. I opened the fridge. Only one item inside. A A slice of chocolate cake. My favorite, with sea salt flakes on top. There was a sticky note on the plate. Reward. My hands were shaking now. I ran upstairs, tore off the vent cover near the hallway. Inside, I found a folded scrap of paper. Yellowed. In handwriting I didn't recognize. You've done this 4 times already. Stop going up the stairs. My knees buckled. I sat right there on the floor. 4 times? Was this a loop? Or worse, a program? Was I a program? I looked down at my arm. At my skin. At my fingertips. Still mine. Still shaking. Still human. I think. The door to Andrew's office was unlocked. That door is always locked. Inside, perfect order. Nothing out of place. Except one thing. A tiny black dot in the corner of the ceiling. A new camera. Not like the others. This one blinked red like it was active. I stood under it. Raised my hand slowly. Waved. And the red light blinked faster. I turned to leave and that's when I saw it. On his desk, a piece of paper with just one sentence printed in all caps. Do not show her room B12 yet. I opened a cabinet looking for batteries. Inside was a small jar labeled Cora Tears Night 3. The lights went out. A door I'd never noticed before clicked open at the end of the hall. And from the darkness I heard a woman's voice whisper. You're not alone anymore. The door at the end of the hallway hadn't been there yesterday. I was sure of it. It didn't match the rest of the house. It wasn't wood or glass. It looked industrial. Steel with a digital lock, no keypad. Just a blinking blue sensor. But now it was open. The lights were still out and yet the hallway beyond glowed faintly, like emergency lighting in a hospital basement. I stepped forward. The air changed. Colder. Drier. Sterile. I passed through the frame and for the first time in hours the house behind me didn't follow. No echo. No hum. No scent of that metallic diffuser. Just silence. Then I heard her. Don't scream. She stood near the far wall, her arms crossed tightly, dressed in a hospital gown that was too thin for this cold. Her hair was darker than mine, but the shape of her face made my stomach twist. She looked like me. Not just similar, identical. Same jawline. Same scar on the collarbone from when I fell off a bike at 9. What? I whispered. She stepped into the light. Her expression was tight, alert, like she didn't trust me yet. We don't have much time, she said. He resets the environment every 12 hours. If you're seeing me, it means you made it to loop 5. That's good. That means something's breaking. Loop? Environment? What are you talking about? I said. What is this place? She gestured around the strange, bunker-like room, concrete walls, a single cot, a broken screen bolted to the wall. Room B12. We all ended up here eventually. The others didn't make it past loop 3. I took a step back. My heart thudded. You're not real, I whispered. This is a trick. He made you. But she shook her head. You think you're the first version of Cora? You're not. She reached behind the cot and pulled out a box, metal, locked, with biometric access. She pressed her palm to the scanner. It beeped. Inside were a dozen small folders, neatly labeled. Each one had a photo paperclip to the front. Every photo was me. But different. Slight changes. Hair longer. A freckle missing. Different earrings. Slightly older or younger. One version had a tattoo I'd never gotten, a blue circle behind the ear. He's been testing iterations, she said softly. Adjusting memory. Routine. Personality. You're Cora V5. I backed against the wall, breath stuttering. No, I whispered. I have memories. A life. A job. My mother. Do you? She cut in. What's your mother's phone number? My mouth opened. Closed. Her birthday. I searched my mind. Blank. What's the name of your first school? Silence. How did you meet Andrew? At a photography exhibit. Was there a brochure? A ticket stub? I froze. I'd never found one. Never seen a photo. Never told anyone else about it because no one else was there. She stepped closer. Her eyes weren't cruel, they were full of pity. He gives each of us a perfect origin story. Something poetic. Something we want to believe. Why? I breathed. She looked toward the ceiling like she expected cameras. Control. Emotional modeling. He's not just watching you. He's watching how you break. Then she handed me a slip of paper. It had one sentence on it. Ask the mirror what it remembers. She shoved me back through the door before I could ask anything else. If you make it to loop 6, don't come back here. Don't look for me again. Wait. I begged. Run. The door slammed behind me. And vanished. Back in the hallway, the family photos on the wall now showed her face, not mine. I ran to the bathroom. Looked in the mirror. And for the first time, it didn't reflect me. The mirror didn't reflect me. Not fully. It showed a version of me with softer eyes. Less defiance. The same bone structure, same cut on the knuckle from when I slammed the kitchen drawer. But the expression was wrong. She smiled. I didn't. And then slowly the glass began to flicker like static underwater. And her smile vanished. Replaced by text. 3 words. No longer valid. I stumbled back. The lights dimmed, then blazed white. My ears rang. The floor vibrated beneath me, like the house had a heartbeat now. Something had changed. Something had recognized the breach. I ran back to the hallway. The walls were smooth now, all doors gone. No room B12. No bedroom. No stairs. Just a sterile hallway that curved slightly, impossibly, like it looped. I grabbed a painting off the wall, the one of the lake at dusk. Ripped it open. Inside the frame, tucked in the canvas seam, was a chip. A real one. Labeled. Core observation. V5.7C. I didn't think. I sprinted to the study, shoved the chip into his docking console and prayed it would open something. Anything. A directory opened. No password. Just folders. Cora _V1. Cora _V2. Cora _V3. Cora _V5.7. Each had logs. Notes. Diagrams. But one file was different. Live _feed _V6. I clicked it. A room appeared on screen. White walls. Soft lighting. A kitchen. 2 glasses of wine. Jazz playing in the background. And her. Another version of me. She stood in front of Andrew smiling, laughing at something. Her laugh sounded right. Mine. But I knew in my gut it wasn't me. Her gestures were slower. Her words warmer. She didn't flinch when he touched her wrist. She was new. Perfectly calibrated. She didn't know. Not yet. I hit pause. Then checked the timestamp. Live. The file wasn't a recording. It was streaming. Meaning. I'd already been replaced. He hadn't just been watching me spiral, he'd been preparing a cleaner version in parallel. Maybe the woman in B12 was right. Maybe I was version 5.7. Maybe V6 was next in line. But I wasn't going to be archived. I grabbed every cable from the server, yanked them free. Sparks flew. A monitor crashed sideways onto the floor. Somewhere in the walls a siren started, low, distant, not public-facing. Internal. Then the screens flickered again, and his voice came through the speaker system. Cora. Calm. Gentle. I know this is frightening. But it's not your fault. I screamed at the ceiling, what am I? He answered without pause. You're my finest version. That's why I need to let you go now. Click. Silence. I bolted from the room. Hallways that weren't there 5 minutes ago had opened up, white, pulsing, humming. But one of them had light. Natural light. I ran toward it and hit a wall. A real wall. Cold. Unmoving. Projected window. Fake sky. And on the floor beside it, a white box. Wrapped in a ribbon. With my name handwritten in black marker. Cora. I opened it with trembling hands. Inside. A phone with no SIM. A pair of noise-canceling headphones. A passport with my face and the name Elena Vostrikova. A plane ticket. And a note. You've earned your freedom. Just say yes. The phone powered on by itself and played the sound of my laugh from V6's dinner scene. I didn't say yes. I smashed the box. And turned around. I was done escaping. It was time to erase him. They think deleting you erases you. That once the screen goes dark, so do you. That code isn't memory. That memory isn't truth. They were wrong. Because I didn't just escape. I infected. I never saw the house collapse. Not physically. But as I ran barefoot, burned, smoke behind me, I knew the system was failing. My drive was still in my pocket, hot against my skin. A data fragment. A digital confession. A memory grenade. Inside it. Every version he erased. Every line of dialogue he scripted. Every file he renamed wife. And deep in the code, I'd left something of mine. A loop. Not a virus. Not malware. A feeling. Fear. Somewhere, a few miles away, I collapsed behind a gas station dumpster. A stranger found me. No ID. No voice. Just ash in my lungs and blood on my palms. They took me to a shelter. Then a hospital. When I woke, I had a new name. No charges. No background. No trace. Clean slate. Almost. 3 weeks later, a colleague of Andrew's, a quiet man in a smart suit, was found dead in a car outside a data center. Heart attack, they said. But I knew. That drive? I mailed it to him. Labeled it, control. Once he plugged it in, the loop began. Not an attack. A story. It started playing automatically. Images. Sound. Versions. Screams. The audio file from room B12. The journal entries. My voice waking up. Asking, what day is it? And at the end? A single corrupted clip of Andrew's face. As I whispered, "You don't get to rewrite me." I didn't want revenge. I wanted to be remembered accurately. Not as a failed model. Not as test subject version 5.7. But as the breach. The version that didn't break inside the loop. The version that broke the loop. I moved west. Took a job at a cafe. People knew me as Lana. I learned how to smile again slowly. The kind of smile that isn't being watched. Or measured. Sometimes I wake up in a sweat. Still hearing the voice in the walls. Still checking mirrors to make sure they reflect me and not her. But other times, I smile for real. Because I know. I left something behind. A few months ago I saw it. On a message board. A thread titled, "Why does my smart mirror flicker when I say the word Cora?" The replies were strange. Mine does too, just flashes red. I found a folder on my smart speaker called V7sleep_logs. Anyone know what that is? My diffuser started playing music at 2:47 a.m. every night. Is that a glitch? Wife's been acting weird since our last upgrade. I didn't comment, but I smiled. Because I wasn't in the system anymore. I was through it. Living in the silence between pings. The static under the firmware. The breath you hear just before the speaker goes live. I still wear the scar on my wrist, the one from when the mirror cracked. I became the glitch that couldn't be deleted.